anyone who did of the capabilities which are needed from that system. Please look for that document. So, within the current confines of the laws that we have in Zimbabwe in terms of the governance, because remember, governance is how decisions are made, by whom, how, and how the information is transferred from one part to another, basically in cybersecurity governance. Although that's a limited definition on its own. We have pre-proposed pieces of legislation that are current as based on the president, or what the president said when opening the parliament. Was the Cybercrime and Security Bill, the Data Protection Bill, and the Electronic Transactions Bill. Within these, mainly the Cybercrime and Security Bill, it will create one of a fund institution which they call, or which we are calling Budwell in Zimbabwe, the Cyber Security Center. It's imperative for us as practitioners, as people within the realm of cybersecurity governance, to know what the center does and how we will interact with the center itself. Secondly, the Data Protection Bill. Data Protection Bill will lead to the creation of the data protection agents, which I will mention from the policy itself. And then the Electronic Transactions Bill. Somebody was talking of the GDA, the General Data Protection Regulations. Before they had them, we had some of the snippets of those in terms of our Data Protection Bill and our Electronic Transactions Bill, in as much as they have taken long to be passed. But if you look at those bills in the GDRP, they speak a lot of things together. Within the policy, please go and look for the policy, it's a public document. There are 4 things that the policy is advising for. That is the CNI, critical national infrastructure protection, defense, security, and transportation systems to be protected, and to mitigate viable and potential threats to CNI. And to do that, it proposed to create these institutions. The CSA, remember I'm saying institutions. Why? Because these institutions will play a leading role on how our cybersecurity governance will interact. That the cybersecurity agents. Please look for these bills if you haven't. Please look for the policy if you haven't. The cybersecurity agents, its core mandate will be the leading entity within Zimbabwe to manage and to administer cybersecurity. So there is quite a mismatch. Why? Because from the act itself, we have the cybersecurity center. From the police, we have the cybersecurity agents. But that can be solved because the cybersecurity agents may not be under the act, may be the department, under the department of the president's department, so there will not be a conflict that way. It will conduct information security audits. Such audits will assess the effectiveness, assuming that some of those audits will include VAs and PTs, both Gwatidzo, the younger one. VAs and penetration tests may you split the penetration tests, the kinds that may be done there. Don't pass upon. The black box?
Black box, and the crystal.
Mama.
It's very done.
I tell you. Black box, white box, crystal or grey box. In the confines maybe of the audits, and then the general information security audits. It will look at the 5 pillars that I mentioned yesterday. The people, the internet services, application security, capabilities, and it will do security clearance of personnel. Currently, for civilian, different from other countries, because I know in South Africa, if you're a practitioner, you can be cleared by security establishment, from confidential, top secret, depending on what you interact with, how you interact with them, to the top secret if you are doing classified or what they call compartmentalized information centers. And will also be cleared to need to know. And also should go in what to correct. But currently in Zimbabwe, yes, security clearance is done, but for civilians said, you are not specifically given in your categories this, and this. And assuming that is what will be meant by the security clearance of personnel and the other matters which are deemed necessary. Remember, I'm reading from that policy. I'm not giving a government position away from what the policy is saying. Let's be clear there. I'm not making an announcement. The policy is a public document. I think somewhere, a number of faces have seen you in some of the debates where this policy was debated. And the NSET, National State, the PS and the Deputy Minister talked about the state yesterday, which, as they said, is currently being spearheaded by Portras. This is the Portras. Yeah. It's being spearheaded by Portras. That is the Computer Emergency Response Team. Its core mandate is to coordinate the response when attacks happen and our preparedness for those attacks. That is another institution that will be there. The third institution is the National Data Forensic Lab. The National Data Forensic Lab. Currently, in terms of forensic capabilities, we have got funding for the SADC region, Interpol for SADC region, the forensic lab under Interpol, which is being spearheaded by NEC from Japan, funding coming from Japan, something like that. But it's not the same as the NLFL. And from the discussions, the police also had sometime last year a fundraising here to raise money for a digital laboratory. So we have some of those laboratories which will be feeding into the national laboratory. And the NESCOM, that is basically the network security, national security, and so National Security Network Operations Center. I think those who work for telecoms, you know your SOC, your NOCs. This one will be the national one. Its capabilities will monitor the computer systems and also cyber intelligence. And lastly, this CSF, the Cyber Security Forum. We find the Cyber Security Forum has certain similarities with the National Security Center, which is Cyber Security Center, which is within the police. So if all happens according to the police and according to the bill, these are the institutions which we will see implementing cyber security governance, which will be interacting in terms of cyber security governance and in terms of how policies are created, established, monitored, and then for the end of the day, finishing the full policy life cycle and the governance life cycle. Security, what is it? We are talking of cyber security, and we'll be talking each under the discussions. Most of the people and most of schools of thought, including the ISO 27000 standard, say security, CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality of the information, integrity of the information, and availability of the information in the system themselves. So in fact, there's a component of static, which is information security, that feeds into it. And also the active aspect, that is cyber defense. And also the proactive side, we now talk of cyber intelligence. Static, active, proactive. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we have a framework for our discussion.
Okay, thank you very much, Kate, for that interesting and exciting presentation. When he indicated that he wanted to do the presentation, I was actually shocked because we only had maybe 2-3 minutes before the start of the actual presentation. He said, I'm going to do it. Little did I know that he's an encyclopedia on these issues, so he already has the documents. But anyway, to kickstart, are there any contributions, any questions with regards to the discussion or on the issue in general, maybe issues that he hasn't touched on, that maybe we feel we need to contribute more? Okay, let's talk.
I probably would have wanted to direct this question to the ZRP if we have got any reps in it. As far as the Zimbabwe crime levy is concerned, this issue has been ongoing for years, and I know they started fundraising for this not 4 years back. Where are we with that? What has been done so far? And where is the money that they have raised in the past time, and what has been done so far? And is the lab there? And if it's there, where is it, and what has been done as far as this lab is concerned?
All right, I will maybe get 2 or 3 questions and then Kate will respond.
I would like to know more about the kind of oversight being done over the national cybersecurity institutions. Who is looking over this? Is it the judiciary? Is it the legislature? How do we know that these entities are not overreaching in their mandates? Also, I assume that our various players within the security cluster will be getting their own cybersecurity capability. So to say Portras, the intelligence community, the Ministry of Defense and the like, how do we not know that these entities will not start to have conflict among themselves? Police saying, we handle this, and the intelligence community saying, no, we handle this, and they start fighting amongst themselves.
I'll get the third question and then Kate will respond.
Good morning, everyone. My question will be to the ministry. Why it is taken so long to enact these laws? We really just said policies and policies and policies, but no laws enacted, such that we are actually getting behind. Probably by the time they enact these laws, probably they will also be behind. Why is it taking so long, and why is it taking so long? What's the plan?
All right. A disclaimer. I'm not speaking on behalf of the police. Neither am I speaking on behalf of the government. I'm speaking on behalf of Kate's public information that he knows. Public information, that's, I know, that's out there. If you Google it, you'll find it. Let's be clear. Understand? All right. On the police, last year, was it last year or last year? Last year, if I'm not mistaken. Last year, with the Business Against Crime Forum and the Commercial Crimes Unit, they hosted a dinner here in terms of fundraising. One of the biggest sponsors there, if my memory serves me, was Econnect, if I'm not mistaken. And with Mimosa and the likes. That was merely a cyber lab, forensic lab for the commercial crimes unit. And that would also speak, because commercial crimes unit is one of the departments under the CID. And of late, I now know there's an officer in charge for cybercrime. I only met him last week. And it was public information because he announced himself like that. In terms of the current monies they've raised and how they've been used, that I'm not privy to. And I also know public information that under Interpol would be hosting a regional forensic, digital forensic lab, which is being spearheaded by the NEC, Japan, and the sponsorship is coming from Japan. The arrangement, the actual details, I'm not privy to. Are you answered?
Yeah. Since you're not in therapy, I think you're going to say But that.
The other information.
I think we have some of these guys in here.
The other information was I once worked them to create the lab. I can't share. It's under. I can't share. But what's in the public domain is what I shared.
Can't or won't?
I want. I want it, I can't. But within the public domain, yes, I share freely. Cybersecurity, in terms of governance, who is oversight, cybersecurity agents, based on the Act itself, should be under the Minister of State for National Security. The other, the National Incident Response Team, as we know, currently is being spearheaded by Portals. So that will be under wherever the Portals will be under. Why do I say under wherever Portals is under? Remember, Portals sometimes move to the to OPCs. I said whoever under who Portals will be under, or whoever the president delegates or assigns the Post and Telecommunications Act. The National Digital Forensic Laboratory, my assumption is that it will be under, what do you call it, Home Affairs, under police. That's my assumption. The National, what do you call it, Security Network Operations Center. My assumption, it will be under the CSA, and the CSA will be under Minister of State, or sorry, Minister of State Security. My assumption. So, what I say with my assumption is not fact. What is fact is within the Act. And then lastly, the Cyber Security Forum under the Ministry of ICT. The National, what calls the Cyber Security Center. It has a funny structure, whereby it's under the Ministry of ICT. It advises, and when legal documents say Why it has taken so long, I don't know the official position. And I'm not just to say my personal position. It was quite anti-security.
Mr. Machulu, would you want to give an input with regards to some of the issues of the questions? I don't know if there's a ministry representative. I don't know who is it.
Don't we have someone from the ministry?
Yes, maybe. Also, from what Kate was actually explaining, maybe as a moderator, maybe allowed to give some input or to maybe complicate the question. Generally, I understand when it comes to rule of law, there is a civilian law, which is maybe where we're investigating police and so forth. I could understand that aspect coming from his explanation, and then there's also military and so forth. But then, when it comes to issues of cybersecurity, there is always maybe a thin line to say, is this about national security or is this about, because when it becomes national security, then it goes to the military or something like state security. And when it's something maybe that needs to be investigated by the police, it's maybe civilian law and so on. Are such issues being taken into consideration when all these institutions are being set up to say, this is your particular jurisdiction to end here, and these ones they take over when it gets to this point, then it becomes military. When we get to this point, it becomes military.
All right. The debate of the delimitations of privacy and security in the cyber world are very quick. You know that debate. Yeah. But how do we delimit that this is now national security and this is now civilian security? When do we test that? As I mentioned yesterday, 97% of the transactions currently in Zimbabwe, where we are looking at last year, 97 billion was transacted on online platforms or on digital platforms. And this year we're expecting it to rise around plus 120 billion. If, for some reason, EcoCash, which contributes over 60-70% of those transactions in terms of mobile platforms, and our switch at RBZ in terms of value, it contributes over 65%, but in terms of volume, it contributes less than 25%. If those two are put down and ZIGF is put down, ZIGF is a private entity. Equally is a private entity. But if those two do not work for at least 3-4 days, you see people in the streets. Do you see where I'm coming from? You see people in the streets. Hence, in as much as they are private entities, their repercussions can lead to a national disaster. Henceforth, they can be classified as national critical information infrastructure as much as they are privately owned. So, the key roles of the state institutions are defined within the constitutions to protect, to safeguard, so forth, besides the president's department. But the army defined within the constitution, the police defined within the constitution. So we are just taking that which is within the constitution and putting it in the cyberspace. Nothing new. So then they have their own safety chapter. So. But the conflict of privacy and security will always be.
You can go to the ministry.
I think what the position of the why the bills are taking so long, that the honorable minister, the bills are on the minister of state to open for public.
I don't know if that addresses your concerns.
So does that mean it's the public delayed Who is the responsibility to make sure they are engaged in time?
Mr. Gwatidzo would like to know the ministry.
As I said yesterday, we are all stakeholders. The fact of the matter is that the conclusion of the draft bill was delayed. Delayed initially by hesitation on the part of government after the produce was released. B, by over work and the attorneys and consultants. Because when there's a draft bill, we say this is the law we want. The process is to take to be able to decontract government decontract. And they are in agreement to look at lots of legal instruments that have not seen the light of day. Because when they go there, they have to join a queue. That queue was compounded by the need to make our laws consistent with our constitution in 2013. Even though the actual work of producing the laws, and I can identify with your frustration, which is what made us also research that is over 10 years old. They still know. I asked the question yesterday, and the response was that no, we are continuing to work. But the technical reality from Parliament is that if there's a new Parliament, then the government in terms of legislative processes goes back to the starting line. It doesn't continue with the new Parliament. As of yesterday, Parliament is creating the committees that will be working on those pieces of legislation. So you can appreciate that it's very difficult to get continuity when you actually have the energy with which the ministry and the personalities in the ministry would try and push the bills through Parliament. The energy with which us as stakeholders engage Parliament. Need to consolidate them. Whereas our view from the one perspective was that let them go as separate bills. And you will now open the Attorney General's office and find that there's one individual who has to approve, has to read through that bill and approve it to go to the Cabinet Committee on legislation. So you can well appreciate that the delays sometimes then go out of the hands of ordinary civil servants. And when it goes to the Cabinet Committee and the Cabinet Committee then approves it in the fullness of time with all the other important work that they have to deal with, then it has to go back to Parliament for the series of readings before hopefully it sees the light of day. So at a personal level, I'm not speaking for government, but I'm just telling you the results of our research. We're not holding our breath in terms of seeing these pieces of legislation anytime soon.
Thank you, Mr. Gwatidzo. You still want to make a follow-up on your question? Okay, we are running out of time allocated for this discussion. If there is maybe one or two burning questions that I might take after this one.
No, I thank Mr. Gwatidzo for the explanation. It's understood the long chain, but I think it's contributing to the problem we had being discussed yesterday. No conviction as yet or so far out of the crimes that have been perpetrated on cyber. It's because of this archaic laws. We pray that this Parliament will be able to get this over so that we have criminals being brought to book. Otherwise, we are losing as an economy. Thank you.
Are there any burning questions, or if there is anyone from the military and maybe from the police who would want to give their inputs to the discussion?
You won't get a comment. Yeah, sure.
Okay, if there are no, okay, one more burning question. I think this will be the last question that we take.
Mine isn't a question per se, but more like a complaint on the issue of oversight, because Kate has a lot of assumptions, but how I interpret it is we don't really know in terms of cyber in which of our security cluster who's doing what, when and how. That's the impression I got. And when you have the new world of cyber security being the big stick and foreign companies hacking foreign countries hacking other foreign countries, hacking elections and the like, I would like to feel secure in Zimbabwe knowing that at least there's somebody out there who's doing something about it. Not to say, we are not really sure who's supposed to be doing that. So I know I've seen the register that representatives from the ministry, from Portras, from the Ministry of Defense. So I know they are listening, and I would like to urge them to do something. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Maybe also before Kate takes over, there's another issue that I just remembered. He indicated that the police, they've now established someone who is responsible for cyber security. I wanted to know what are their terms of reference and how do we know when to approach them and why?
Their terms of reference? I don't know. To approach them, if you go to what called CID, Commercial Crimes Division, I guess. Because when people were introducing themselves, there's some July thinking also.
Okay, Mr. Ujiri.
If I understand it well, the section of the police that deals with cyber security is comes in mainly on the area of the cyber lab. Yeah, that's the forensic lab for the police. And how they come in is that when people report cases that are cyber related, those cases need to be investigated. And most of the investigation involves cyber forensics. So that's where the cyber lab comes in. And I think that's where the police really comes in into the issues of cyber security.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chiro. We'll give one more opportunity to Kate to wrap up.
In as much with the President's Department, the police, the army, as different organs of state or of security apparatus, these teams, they do not work in isolation. Most of the decisions would have been pre-done from JOC, the Joint Operations Command. And most would have been taken from briefs and also decisions happening in cabinet and presidential briefings. So it's not like the police saying we are doing this way, the army says we are going this way, and the intelligence says we are going this way. No. Uniformed forces, as they are called, they are disciplined forces. Yeah. So, but in terms of operations, the leading entity in forensic-wise, the police, the digital lab. We have the CSA, Cyber Security Agents. And in terms of offensive and defensive capabilities, offensive and defensive capabilities for the sovereignty of the country. The military. Why? Because those are the constitutional mandates. Copy from the Constitution, based on the implementation. They are clearly stated.
Thank you, Kate. It looks like the security governance issue is an issue of interest to everyone, and maybe we should have more forums outside of this discussing the issues so that at least from the public. The next section, we're going to look at internet governance from a customer perspective, and Mr. Rueben Gwatidzo will lead the discussion. Mr. Gwatidzo.
Thank you very much, Mavis. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
I don't have, and I'm always deliberately avoiding PowerPoint presentations. Mainly because I think we do ourselves a disservice by looking to be fed information and an awareness that we must feel within ourselves, especially when we are talking about a consumer perspective, because we are all consumers, are we not? In our personal capacities as individuals, as people, and in the capacities of our institutions who are using the internet. It's very important that we don't continue to look outside for our perspective. It's important that we're confronted and we know that this is our perspective of that tool. Yesterday we made reference to how we're trying to behave like New Yorkers when we are in Harare. And this comes from the fact that we don't take ownership of these tools, such as the internet. So having defined the consumers, having defined the internet as a tool that we want to use, the next thing I want to say is we're using this tool critically to establish a way of life, to protect the quality of that life. If you find yourself getting a tool such as the internet and you're not using it to improve the quality of life, then you will have stepped out of the fourth pillar that I want to give you, basic Uno. You know, we are proud inheritors of a rich traditional heritage. And when you are mining this heritage, one of the places that you should mine is the language. In our Shona language, you're only a human being if you have humanity. If you miss out on humanity, can also see So when you're looking at the quality of life, and I'm trying to bring this to a very high level discussion on the consumer perspective of internet governance, on internet governance. Because sometimes we talk about these things as if we are talking about things in text. If we're talking about things that belong to a conference in Brazil, as if we are divorced from these things. That's how you find a pastor is leading a very successful congregation, but you catch him tomorrow in an affair with a congregant, married with a congregant. Now that kind of dissonance is what we want to remove from governance. When we say governance, we are actually talking about when you find you turn up for a conference starting at 9 and there's tea supposed to be there at 8:30 and it's not there, that is a breakdown of governance. usayitrage maningi kuma institutions. Who's responsible for that? No. Governance, let's bring it home, let's touch it, let's feel it. You know? When you can leave work, when your corporate network is down, that's a breakdown in governance. Because you're walking away from your responsibility to make sure that the corporate network. From a consumer perspective, we deal with all kinds of failures in governance. Somebody sends money by RTGS, supposed to happen within 24 hours. It takes 13 days to happen. That's a breakdown in governance. These companies set up shop and say, we are a banking institution, where banking is now only another value-added service on top of the IT platform. And they can't be bothered to make sure their systems are working efficiently. That's a breakdown in governance. And when we talk security, Kate is there. And Kate was using the example of Internet, a private company, holding this important and critical facility that we must now all seek to protect. When people are then having to leave groceries at a checkout point because that system has not been properly configured, that's a breakdown in governance. So when we're talking internet governance, my first prayer is, let's not leave it at a level where we're not touching it. Let's look at those values. When I'm talking about the quality of life, what is it that you want first? What do you value first? The first thing that I value is the fact that I'm alive. If you don't actually wake up alive, then you're no longer there. So the sanctity of life is an important value. We must hold it and hold it high. And if we have an internet that is creating the kind of deaths we had yesterday, a game that is about persuading kids to kill themselves, then we have lost governance. Because we must have governance that respects that life must be respected. Is that not correct? Because for all of us here, whatever you say you do, if you are dead, kaput, so the most important value that you want and that you want to see is being respected in your governance arrangements is life. And life is very quickly followed by wellness. If you have a national security apparatus that is not capable of detecting the presence of a deadly virus, then you can turn around that national security capability and say, you might as well not be there because we have to be well, otherwise we will all be lying down and not doing anything. You know? And then you have to have that humanity, empathy with the next person. How can you be satisfied with yourself if you are causing strife to others? Fine, we might then look at it and say, social media is bad. Fake news is the state of affairs. But if it is causing strife to others, then surely that is not governance. I don't like the term good governance. Because governance by itself has to be good. Once there's no governance, there's nothing else, there's nothing like bad governance. It means there's no. So now when you're taking that consumer perspective, the first thing, this is not it, but that you have to say to yourself is that that perspective must be informed By that statement we find in one of, in fact, in most religions, you know, respect for the next person, love them, honor them. That is the consumer perspective. So when you now come to internet governance, it's easy to think through the policy proposals you want to see, because you have a proper and firm starting point. You know, you're not achieving some academic result that someone is going to mark and say right or wrong. No, you're going to feel that I'm doing the right thing because you're starting from a firm point. You actually want to produce a result that is in itself good. At our country. And then I will invite you in the sessions, in the question and answer sessions, to contribute to the consumer perspective, because I can't own it. I have enough respect for you to know that your perspective as a consumer is equally important. And when we aggregate it, we would have a perspective that informs our policies. What is our policy? I mean, our policy, put very simply, is a statement of intent. What do we intend to do? Here we are, citizens of this colonial construction that we now call Zimbabwe. This colonial construction that we now call Zimbabwe. It never existed, did it? There were never any borders saying there's a country between the Zambezi River and the Limpopo River and North Mountain Range. And we all know that when we talk of the internet now, it has totally disrespected those borders. The internet has created this cyberspace that knows no borders, because you can be attacked from Estonia. And then we are trying to create a governance system for this global cyberspace. And you can see the last attempt that was made to create a global governance system. I call it the last attempt because that was the UN system. That UN system, with its undemocratic nature, where they call in these countries to the General Assembly and want to say to them, you are equal. You know? How can Luxembourg go and be equal to Russia? You know? So there's a fakeness to the world already before you complain about fake news. And I'm inviting you to say, when you are now looking at policies and perspective, start from some firm ground where you feel that you are standing firm. The global system is not on firm ground. That's why we heard yesterday that they are suspicious of the cryptocurrency, because it was a response to the hairy-fairy world of modern money. Flimsy ground. And a lot of people are suffering because there are now people who have made it their mission to protect those currencies. You know, we hear, especially from our politicians, lots of complaints about our national debt. Have you looked at the national debt of the so-called G20 countries? My God, those countries are so much in debt, we look like we are well. But you know, we are the ones who are being lambasted for being in debt. And unless we build our governance on firm ground, then we won't have governance at all. When we are making policy proposals, let's make policy proposals that are based on our attempt to wish for the next person what we wish for ourselves. If you find yourself in a position where you don't talk to Mukuza, he's bad news, you know, We want to hear him. We want to hear his opinions, his contributions. We want to respect them so that we find what is best for ourselves. So what kind of policy statements do we want of our discussion today and the last and yesterday is what internet do we want? We want, certainly from a consumer perspective, an internet that improves. To me, that automatically means there's a complaint about fake news. I don't want to remove the internet because someone is producing fake news. No. Because there's now citizen journalism where anyone can pick a story and broadcast it. And I welcome that. You know? There's a new to how we run our lives. Based on that capability now, totally new logistics. And at the last cybersecurity conference, those who recall, I even suggested that we might actually need to get rid of the Westminster style of government. Does it still fit today's logistics? Does it? Okay, so maybe somebody is going to come with blockchain technology and build a secure electoral system that is free. Maybe we're going to have that. But are we still looking for one member of parliament to represent 35,000 constituents? Or can we redesign our governance system so that we respect other people to come through with their ideas? Because we have a new platform. What's the internet we want? We want the internet that works as a tool to improve the quality of our lives. You know? Yes, we can talk about cyber laws. My friend was talking about cyber laws. But I want an internet that helps to bring these values in the children as they grow up. So that policing of what we get the law, that this one is guilty. But I want someone who's going to say, yes, same kind of revolution we witnessed in November of last year. We are honest about each other when something is not sustainable. Do you remember November? can direct it better. I'm not criticizing, but what I don't create a broadband for Gamshi. I don't a broadband for Zimbabwe. I don't create a broadband for Gamshi and community connections. I'm not interested in that. Do it a broadband move. As good a broadband over here. Then a serious done. So the internet we want is internet that we're using conveniently, isn't it? So we didn't go and say, no, please, because our regulator model that was right now as Kushanda on modern day logistics. Then all the consumers close, who's the one that sees a guy, who's the one that sees who's the one that says CT. People who relate to actual day use of the internet. But I will optimize actually. So that was a proposal. That was a policy proposal. To government. I'm inviting you to think along those lines so that you can also see some of the policy proposals that you can make. Then what ends up happening is a challenge in that we don't feel secure on the internet. And by internet, honestly, we don't feel secure. Even the PEMSEC was articulating yesterday, who is in control. That is an expression of fear. When you go to the internet, you know that actors will never see. You want to put a dark web. You information about yourself. So we don't have a sense of security. So the banana is that name will remain. Because really, if you don't think of it as yourself, no one will lead you. The government is our creation, is it not? And we create it to work for us. I know I will try to talk, but in reality, government is our creation to work for us. And this 1.5% is going to be satisfied. Why don't you increase it? Honestly, God, that's what they said. Why don't you increase it to 5%? Then you say the other 1.5% is going to continue working for access to broadband, high-speed internet. But not already in the 1.5%. Give it to the security apparatus. Because if our security apparatus don't have the capacity to manage our security, they are done. Musavasiye vachita madina dance kuti zvaiwana kopita zvachivapa mari vachita syndicate. It's wrong. Our security must not be funded like that. We got the money and we want to fund our security operators so that we make our internet secure. Then under that 5%, so we said 1.5% access to broadband. So that 1.5% for security. Government necessary because even if you have 1.5% of what we spend, it's over $1 million of money. So adoption is all money, to have real money to give us real security. Then we have to but 2% even 1.5%, right? So that we don't always go and learn the use of the internet with what the language. What is our need? What is our problem that we will take and solve, take it locally? Maybe Bakabona video ya Netanyahu Achiganda. You remember you've seen those videos where the Prime Minister of Israel was boasting about how they've done fantastically well. Do you know what he doesn't tell you? What he doesn't tell you is that Pakistan to enable their industry to develop. What he doesn't tell you, Mariyo Vakaisa
through their military. Israeli technology is very good. Israeli defense. So, hey, I feel my soldier. Calm down. Stand on firm ground. Stand on firm ground. Stand on firm ground. And say to yourself, what do you want for yourself? Because life is important. I mean, I'm saying, that's what they say. What I did the case was get no. Would everyone not consider poison? No. So why are you complaining about? You don't know want to about disabling the capacity of our military. You are the defense. The section 9 of the Constitution 263. You are ultimate liberation parties as the beginning of the Constitution. The current defense. You know that's the capacity. So you're missing the point. So that's why I'm inviting you to first of all stand on the ground. Really feel it. That what is the what is your life? You want to be well. Who is responsible? So we said the other 1.5% for that. So we said the other 1.5%. Could those youngsters identify the needs and close the gaps and produce businesses? 0.5%. That was our proposal. To that even 0.5%. And then cheaper stakeholders. Bana ZIGF, Bana ICT, Nemama organizations form moments or Kunemani. So that we continue this debate, this discussion, so that we have a governance in a participation of the governed, so that we have this for accountability. We resource the citizens to participate in their governance. Kwa ITU kwa ma guidelines atakapuwa nezuro child online protection. Chikatauriwa futi kunzi kwa ISOC kune program ine ma fellowship. Isusu tinenge taine mari yedu yekugona kupa vanhu vedu from that 0.5% scholarship, my fellowship. Why is that important? Because always kana usina mari unoseterwa agenda nemunhu ane mari. So when we are building the internet we want, and we want really people to convene, we must resource them to be able to do that. So that mangwana avazopuwe mari neka NGO keku Australia. Kuwataura no, but agenda ndeiyi. Because topesera muno mutakutaura zvinhu zvisingatomboti affect isusu zvisine quality of life yedu zvisine ma values yedu, because vanhu vedu vanenge vapuwa mari nevanhu. So here is a policy proposal that we made. I won't say if you like it, vote for it, because we're not voting. But that's another story. We want a value system in one election. That's what we want to work on. So I think that's a good note to end. Trying to articulate the consumer perspective on internet governance, on the internet we want, and what we want to tell our government to adopt as a statement of intent to do all that for the sole purpose of improving the quality of our lives. Check. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gwatidzo. What's an eye-opener? Basically, he said, as far as internet governance, it's up to us to decide what we want, not to import maybe what we hear or what we learn about when we go on these other forums, but we have to know ourselves. So in the interest of time, I think I'll give 2 or 3 people maybe to comment, to question, or value add to his presentation.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That was insight. Internet, I want who the consumer. And with that consumer, that's where my problem is. That consumer is very, very, very complicated. It's as complex as the internet itself. Because when you talk about the consumer, we are talking about me, the guy who is moving in the street. We are talking about my human rights activist. We are talking about the political movement groups, the church movements. All those are the consumers. And these people have got very different ways of viewing or interest. One important thing that he highlighted and said, the policy proposals should be based on informed perspectives. I will add also informed and unbiased perspectives. But I'll just give one example of the voters' roll. Most of us now we have got the voters' roll in our computers in the digital format. It's 498 megabytes. Almost everybody who is here, his ID number. And some section of our pictures was also supposed to be added there. And the failure to add the pictures, it was recognized as a fatal attack on the democracy. That was a certain section of the consumer. But what about another consumer who is moving in the street, wants his privacy? The reason why I say the consumer that Mr. Gwatidzo was presenting is a very complex user of the internet. And that's the thing which is maybe a problem. Another also example is on the social media. We're talking about the cyber bill. A lot of people are saying it's taking long. Do you know the whole bill, if you get through the bill, people are not against a number of, but only one section is social media. And what does it say? And when we are talking or discussing against it, are we making policy proposals based on informed or unbiased perspective? Did you have a chance maybe of looking on what that same section in South Africa, Kenya say, and how does it differ with ours? So the most important thing that I have obtained from the presentation is, as consumers, we should make policy proposals based on informed and unbiased perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that insight. Anyone else with a contribution before we move on or a question? Okay, so maybe I'll go to Mr. Gwatidzo so that he can address the issue of maybe how do we deal with the complexity of the consumer and marry the different needs and perspectives.
Anything I say runs the risk of diluting that contribution. The consumer is complex. That's why you saw me attempting to say, please stand on firm ground. Know what your values are. Because if you don't have those values, someone else anongokukandira mari watotengesa nyika. Because you haugone kuramba. Because you have no firm ground that you're standing on. And I offered you the language. Could mine your values in your language. You know? When you do that, you benefit from an appreciation of centuries, generations of intangible cultural heritage. Dzinozokubatsira to say no where you should say no, yes where you should say yes. And that complexity that my colleague talked about in the consumer needs us to spend a lot more time talking to each other, understanding each other, tuning each other. That's why takaisa ka 0.5% kaya kuti ngakaite forum for cross fertilization tichidzorana, you know. And I made reference that you're going to find that some people actually make it their profession to work for outside money in the name of NGO. You know, so people are in the name of human rights. But it's very simple. You can go mirror and you stand back on your firm ground. Ukatarisa kurupa Maria to US. Hakuna governance. How can one who has seen a governance come and want to preach governance to you? How should you inokuvhurira door rekuti uone zviri kuitika asina kuona ma-interviews ema-confirmation a-supreme judge Brett Kavanaugh ndiani. You follow the news. Wotoona ana vakutokonfirma kamunhu. Kuona kuti vana una havasi vanhu. But this is what you see, isn't it? When you see the Brazil elections, the Brazil elections, Lala and I'm jail for corruption. Party yake ndio leading my election. I said that's my results. So we can announce the results as of the time. Because it ran off or not. But chumba babudo chimwe chipenzi. Chikada no dictatorship ndizo. Kana chitora vanhu ngatura kana 30,000. Chero taskwata no zanyika because the yanyanga. And he was leading in the polls. You know, it's true. But I'm saying now that's the internet, a tool which is allowing you to see and read and understand things. Because you can cross-check. The Zuro we heard from, I think, one of the media practitioners. The fake news, it's fake news. But so I take nothing away from the contribution that was made. And what I might just add, which is running in my head, is an update on something called the Consumer Protection Act. What the Consumer Protection Act, amongst other things, allows you to do, it allows you to get together, even if we're 1 or we're 2 or we're 50, and articulate an area of public interest right through to the High Court, Supreme Court, Constitutional Court. It empowers you to do class action on a matter of public interest. Now this bill is just like the cyber law bill. Yani 12 years in the making and is not seeing the light of day. And one of the things we would like to see is for that bill to come in so that sometime, I mentioned this yesterday in one of my interviews, sometimes the institutions become captured. So we will have room in which to articulate some of those issues without waiting for the institution that we would have given the mandate to work for us. Am I making sense on that last point? Your consumer protection. Because when that Consumer Protection Act becomes law, you know, then Vamiyawe can stand up and challenge the whole setup, the operation, the Interception of Communications Act. But similarly, Vamiyawe can also stand up and challenge Tisuma Human Rights Actor. Because it's acting on a matter of public interest. So hopefully when we also see that bill, we will create the information society we want. We will create the internet we want. We will use the internet as a tool, mindful of that, the consumer, particularly consumer perspective. Complexity yake is only made easier to understand, I think, by going back to empirical levels. You know, don't protect Zimbabwe. Usinganzwi Zimbabwe yakakreatwa chirudzi na roads nani. Don't talk about African values. Usinganzwi kuti Africa yacho kuti chizonzi Africa zvakambotanga sei. Because those no kubatsira zvichikuinforma kuti simplify the matters that are before you. I mean, the UN system, Yazotiba ITU, Yatipa, the UN Group on Information Systems, UNGIS, is open for you to interact with. But when a country like the United States goes to a UN event, they don't go as government jetting, you know? One in the business, one in the civic society, because one is going to they are 2 pennies worth to add. Through consumer protection. No, these are the governance issues. Don't look at them. These are the governance issues. Because Indiana can report in any kind of international conference. Yeah. But these people are engaging with the international community. The international community is producing conventions that are governing us here. Here's news, Jimika Buku Internet Society. And it is news, Kurukuda Kunzi, UN take over control of the NGO which is behind the internet. Andrew?
You mean
the UN to take over. What is the Zimbabwe position on that? How? You know? So this is the governance type of discuss the internet we want. It would is a governance too far away. Bring it closer, feel it. And from the consumer perspective, be mindful that consumer is not just the average person at the farmer. Consumer is everybody, including our institutions, including our own companies, because they are consuming internet outside, including our Reserve Bank, because they set up life on the internet, and they set up life on the internet. But do you know what priority rating the Reserve Bank has given for foreign currency allocation, your bandwidth? Do you know? Kuti Reserve Bank inofunga ere kuti tofana kutanga tatenga fuel tisati tatenga bandwidth. My opinion, my policy proposal is that the most important foreign currency thing we can buy today is bandwidth. Who agrees with me? The most important the most important priority your foreign currency allocation today is bandwidth. Because can you imagine what life would be like in this country without access to the internet? Can you imagine? I mean, think about it. That's what we are saying. That's what we are saying. If you say there's no bandwidth in this country, in Kate gave an example, there's no eco-cache in this country. There's absolutely no bandwidth. What's up, Sushanda? So, fine, you might not agree with me by number 1, but by 2, 3, baba. Is I bandwidth? You know? Because if we don't have bandwidth, life as we know it loses quality. It becomes a very difficult life. You know, we must know what our values and how we are using that to support the quality of life. So I'm trying to have an appointment in a Reserve Bank. But please, can you prioritize foreign currency allocation for bandwidth? Because life without bandwidth would be very difficult for us. So that's my response, but I really did not respond to that because I just adopted as it is neat straight away. I just added more things that and delayed teeth a bit more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gwatidzo. I think this presentation was very critical, considering that after the tea break, we're going for the thematic discussion. So I think it grounds us and enables us, it will enable all of us to have an understanding of what issues we should prioritize as we discuss the various thematic areas. So after our break, we'll have a short session where we'll just allocate each other groups, and then afterwards we'll have the discussions. I think they ended, is it at 1? And we'll have feedback after lunch. So thank you very much for your time. We should.
For our team.
So basically you're saying each person should hold their own things.
Not on the table.